For great ideas and practical tools you can start using tomorrow to grow your business and separate you from the competition, you've come to the right place. If you're into B2B marketing and sales, then welcome to the one and only B2B Marketing and Sales Podcast. With over 60 and counting total years in the trenches of businesses small and large, they have a plethora of knowledge and experience that generate you more leads, capture more clients, ring up more sales. Well, doggone it, just make you more money. How about that? Always thought-provoking, yet dubiously entertaining. Please welcome to their respective microphones across 3 time zones, your co-ringmasters, the Dave Loomis, and not the rock star, Steve Miller.
Hey, everybody! Hello, paisans!
Hello!
This is Steve Miller, better known as Kelly's dad, marketing gunslinger. Doggone it, I can talk in more than one monotone voice. Well, no, I can't. Anyway, welcome to the Marketing and Sales Podcast, the B2B Marketing and Sales Podcast.
Yeah,
This is like my 4th program today, so
That's it.
Yeah.
Who are you joined by?
And I am joined by Mr. the Big Apple himself, from New York City, Mr. David Mayo Loomis, the Mr. Voice, the man, the legend, right here.
Good afternoon, everyone.
See, I feel like I have to yell to get people's attention, and you whisper, and they all lean forward and go, "Oh, what's he gonna say?" So,
yep,
I'm impressed. So, okay.
Did you know that when I was a very young child, I had this exact same voice, and and it really freaked people out because my dad called me Moose because I think secretly my dad was trying to, hoping that I would be like this macho football player dude. I don't really know. I have no idea. But he called me Moose. That was my nickname growing up.
I was hoping you would grow into your voice.
I think that was it. And then I didn't.
There's still time. There's still time.
No, it's true. I can put on some weight. Yeah.
There's still time. You can still get there. So, what are we talking about today? We were kind of going back and forth, and then you threw this topic at me.
I did.
Said, ooh. I said, and my exact response was, ooh, me likey.
Okay.
So tell us what we're talking about today.
Okay. Here's what we're talking about. There's a term that many of you listening might have heard, but you might not have. It's an acronym. P.E.S.O, which is actually a monetary thing, but in this case it's P.E.S.O, and it stands for paid, earned, shared, and owned. And these are 4 kinds of media that we have at our disposal these days. And just very briefly, so everybody understands it. Paid.
Yeah, no, make sure you.
Paid is advertising.
Talk very slowly because I'm listening too. All right.
Paid. We pay for.
Paid media.
Yeah, paid. We have to pay for it. So it's in the old days, it was at television advertising, newspaper advertising, magazine advertising. Now it's all of those things and digital advertising, which is where we go. I guess you would probably put pay-per-click things in there, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, you have to pay. If you have to pay for it.
If you have to pay for it, it's a P.
That's a P.
Then there's earned, and that is PR. That's classic PR. It's basically you don't pay for it, but you can't just wave a wand and make it happen. You have to go and get somebody to agree to cover you. And write a story about you or something like that. And
could it also well, okay, we can talk about it a little more.
It could be digital, it could be anything.
In a few minutes, all right. Yeah.
Could really be anything.
So earned is
Yeah.
when somebody else either writes about you or you just...
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
That's kind of earned.
And then shared is social media, because shared, we share it. It's like I write, if I own I have my own platforms and company platforms and my client platforms. If I post on those, that's me. But then if a follower posts back, then that's shared. So we share it. Both of us engage in those platforms, and it's all any or all kind of social media. And then the last, which is a very big these days, is owned. It didn't used to be that big because we didn't have control. We didn't have such things as websites as we do now. We didn't have as much email. We didn't have email marketing. This is years ago, but now we have those things, and in the future there'll be new things, I'm sure, that we'll have that we can't imagine right now. But for now, we've got what we got. It's anything we control. So it can be the digital things that I mentioned, but it can also be, if we write an old-fashioned brochure, if we go to a trade show, really that probably falls under owned. If we do a speech, we own that. We own ourselves. We own our own voice. So anything we can control, it's owned. And I guess the topic was, not just to define those terms, but to say for B2B marketing and sales, what are the most important ones? Is there one that's most important? That would be a question. Another would be the balance. What's the right balance? Is it always the same balance? Do we dislike one of these for some reason for B2B marketing and sales under all circumstances or some circumstances? So there's lots of things that we can talk about when it comes to this. But at the end of the day, which is kind of a funny phrase that people say.
That is a funny phrase.
It is, at the end of the day. So at the end of the day, it's kind of like, to be perfectly honest with you.
Oh, you haven't been honest before?
No, I lie most of the time.
Yeah, most of the time, yeah, we're lying.
So at the end of the day, I guess we all face the question of which of these levers to pull, when and how much.
Okay.
So that's it. I'm going to put this back in your court.
Okay. Well, let me make a couple of comments about that, because there is a saying in marketing, okay, that the magic is in the mix.
The magic is in the mix.
So,
yes.
In other words, that you don't put all of your eggs in one basket, that you use multiple tools to achieve the strategy that you have developed. Now, that said, two other things to back up that, that message. I mean, that saying basically says the better job you can do of kind of spreading out your messaging. That's all we're talking about, is how do we deliver our message? Okay, how is it being delivered? Is it being delivered by, like you say, by paid, by earned, by shared, or by owned? And I think that for every company, there is no, in my opinion, even in the B2B world, there is no ideal order, right? It's not like that I would say that, owned is number one. I don't know that until I know who the company, until I know who their moose is, until I know where these people hang out, that type of stuff. I don't know what would be, say, the primary tool of these four. And then, lastly, I don't know that you have to use them all. even though the magic is in the mix. So essentially what I'm saying is that marketing, while there is a science to the idea of, we know who our target market is. We know who our moose is. We understand where they hang out, that type of stuff. But the messaging to the marketplace is so important. It's like the bait. It's like the bait.
The message itself.
What is the message that we're sending out to people that would make them say, "Oh, that's interesting, that's useful, and that might help me. It might help me solve a problem, might help me, take some pain away. It might help me with an aspiration, that I have, or our company has, or something like that." But essentially that, the message that we send out is our bait. It gets people to say, raise their hand, or for moose, I guess their hooves, to say, I want to talk to you. So within these four, I don't know what to call them, columns, all right,
Sure.
paid, earned, shared, and owned. If I were to ask you, from your experience of working with B2B companies, do you think there is one or two that have been the primary? Has there been some kind of consistency in how you've seen it for B2B, or what?
I will tell you that in my experience with my particular client base, which tends to be more on the industrial B2B side, but also includes professional services, I find that when I do strategy and planning, and then I make recommendations, that line up with all the things that you said. Who's the moose? What's the business? What do we want them to accomplish? What's the message? That we end up putting the emphasis on P.E.S.O backwards, OSEP. Owned, followed by shared, followed by earned, followed by paid. Now, there's tons of asterisks to this thing because, obviously it depends. And if you're listening and you have like a low-priced product that you can sell via the web, and it doesn't take a lot of discernment. And I know that there's some industrial examples of that. Let's say you make a tool that's not very expensive, but it's used by other businesses. It's a kind of a screwdriver or something, industrial screwdriver or something. It
might be a sonic screwdriver,
something
like Doctor Who would have.
Yeah, exactly. And you just need volume. You need to find multiple mooses, meese, and so you're gonna, the paid is gonna be, it's gonna be huge for you because you're probably gonna do pay-per-click, and you're probably gonna do retargeting and digital ads, and you want to drive people to your website, and they can make that decision right away and maybe buy it from you or buy it from a distributor or whatever. But I just don't end up with, I haven't personally had a lot of clients that have that situation. That's just me.
Because what you're talking about what I'm hearing you say is that your common client there are multiple steps in the communication process.
There usually are, and there's usually a sales process of some sort. Someone gets brought in at some point. It ends up being a bigger ticket item in one way or another. whether it's a piece of capital equipment, whether it's a material that's part of a roof system for a commercial building, all sorts of things. But somebody else has to get involved at some point. And so there's a lead gen kind of nature to all of it.
And see, that makes perfect sense. Again, the answer is it depends.
It always depends. It's such a cop-out phrase, but it really does. And with the examples that I just said, when I said OSEP, which means that the owned things, the things we control, we end up taking up more of our time or being more of the focus. Maybe that's partly because it's the low-hanging fruit and it needs help and you can improve it easily enough. Not positive. What do you think?
Well, let's because you're also making a delineation between people who are actively looking.
Yes, so there's
for a solution versus people who are not looking for, who don't know they need this.
Yeah,
I guess two different things.
Cycle. Right.
So if they are actively looking, now I would agree 100% that the top one is the owned. I would agree with that 100%. Okay. Because as long as you have 100% control, okay, that makes it a much more valuable tool. So like you say, if it's even if it's your website, which we own our websites, but if people are actively looking for you, and you can design your website and use things like SEO and that type of stuff, so that these people will find your site, and then when they get to your site, they go, "Oh, they're talking to me," right?
Yes.
And then they raise their hand. Right.
Yes.
So owned right at the top. All right. To me, the second one though is paid. The second one is paid, and the reason why I say that is because, again, you get into that situation where you can in paid, whether it's Google ads, Facebook ads, LinkedIn, or even banner and stuff like that.
We can control it by paying for it.
You can be very, very targeted as to who sees your ads.
That's for sure.
And so then you're being very targeted. They might see a banner ad, okay, but then if your headline in the banner ad joins the conversation that's going on in the prospect's mind, they're going to click on it. And to me, that's better than social media or PR, because you can be more focused when you buy those ads. You can be more focused on who sees this stuff.
Great point. I like it.
Yeah.
I like that. So then what order? So now you've got OP, and then if your life depended on it and you had to put the others in there in order, what would it be?
Again, it kind of is what I would call an it depends. Like let's say the earned. Earned where? Are we talking about a story about your company, a story about your CEO? Are we talking about like here, for example, I was showing one of my I had a couple client calls today, a couple of Zooms, and I showed them how I helped the International Housewares Association when they own the International Home and Housewares show.
Yes, I've been
Okay.
there many times.
And and years ago, when they first contacted me, they were a top 10 show, one of the 10 largest shows in the country, and the CEO was nervous. And we kind of come in, we went in, we kind of studied, and we kind of realized, hey, yes, there are cracks in the armor that most people aren't seeing right now, and he was correct to have that. So we basically reinvented from the bottom up this entire event.
Right.
Right. Now, after it was over and it was a success, we wrote an article titled "Reinventing a Top 10 Trade Show."
Oh, okay.
Okay. And we submitted this. We submitted this article.
Now, who does it say it's by? Who does it say?
Well, I'm getting there. I'll show you.
Oh, okay.
Right? It's by.
Okay. It's by Thomas Conley.
Tom was the CEO of the association.
Okay.
We gave him the byline.
Got it.
We wrote the article, gave him the byline.
Smart.
And so this was huge.
So, are you saying? So this is interesting. This is a little side conversation here, but did you wrote the whole article, but then you sent it to some places and said, "Here, look, the article's already written," and I'm sure some people picked it up. Maybe as is, maybe they edited it a little bit, but how did that work out?
The reprint I just showed you was from a magazine called Association Management Magazine, which went to every association executive in the United States. And Tom was the cover girl.
Really, that's
on the magazine.
Ooh, and then the story that was written, did they pick it up basically as is?
They wrote it. They totally put it as it. And if you look, you see it's actually, look at this. All right. So
Steve is now holding up a lot of words.
Yeah, a lot of words. Okay,
it's a lot of words.
Huge article. This is the reprint from the magazine, and we stuck in, a
benchmarking survey by Steve Miller.
So we put a box in this, and we talked about a survey that we did for housewares that gave us the information we needed to have to reinvent the show.
Excellent.
All that was that we did this, right? And Tom meant, and in the article I said Tom mentioned Steve Miller like one time, just saying we hired Steve Miller to come and do this, right? So it made Tom a rock star.
That was earned. So in that case, it sounds like could have been pretty darn important.
It was huge. Huge. It made him a rock star, which is something that I tell all of my clients. Look for ways to make your clients, your customers, rock stars.
Yeah.
Make them famous. And, if you have a case study, write the case study in their voice.
Right.
Okay. And then if they mention you, they don't have to be glowing or anything like that. All he said was, we had Steve Miller help us. And I think that's basically how we wrote that. Okay. And so the article was picked up. Now, not all of them picked up the benchmarking study part. Well, that's okay. He still mentioned me. And it was just huge. It was huge for housewares. It was huge for Tom, and it was huge for me.
So this is great advice for people that are listening. There's, you go to, we all went to college, and some of us, if we were marketing majors or those sort of things. There was a PR class, and we started at our company, and somebody says, put a press release out. Well, you write a press release, and somebody still has to take that press release and write it into an article.
Yep.
If you write the article itself,
they are so happy.
They are so happy because everybody's short-staffed. Nobody has writers that has time to do this stuff anymore. They're always looking last minute for something. You basically just made their day.
Yep. We wrote articles for magazines all the time, and
it's good.
I hate press releases. I'm going to tell you that right now.
They're terrible.
I think press releases are completely worthless. At best, you might have a trade magazine that at the back of the magazine they have like a little section where it's like, oh, here's hot new stuff, right? And it's just these little blurbs, and they're from press releases, and 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 to me that's there's no value in those. There's zero value in those. But if I make my client a rock star, the hero of the story, and I turn it into a story about him or her and what they had to go through to do this, that becomes a story of interest for a lot of publications.
Yeah. So let's just say, for the sake of argument, in your you've got OPEs. So owned, paid, earned, and then shared. Shared is interesting because in B2B marketing and sales, LinkedIn has become a pretty powerful business tool for many, many people and many companies. But there aren't that many other social media alternatives that really are good for B2B.
Here's what I'm seeing. 100% LinkedIn is the business king. All right, it's the business social media.
Yeah.
The weak part of LinkedIn are the LinkedIn groups. They are not good. They are difficult. Most group. I'm a member of a number of groups. The amount of interaction, engagement going on in those is so low, and for the most part, it's people promoting themselves, promoting their companies.
Exactly.
It's the groups are terrible. Now flip it over to Facebook, which is not a business platform. It's a personal platform. Okay, it's for sharing. That your kids, your kid lost a tooth last night.
Yeah, but those Facebook groups work.
But the groups are amazing.
The groups work.
The private groups in Facebook are incredible. I'm a member of at least 10 different groups, and they are the interaction, the engagement, these people are talking to each other.
Yeah.
They're sharing with each other.
Yeah.
And you can come in there and you can make connections in the Facebook groups, private groups that can be amazing. So in that case, I'm like going, yeah, go do that, or even start your own Facebook group.
Right.
Private
now,
group.
YouTube.
Do you think YouTube is truly a social media?
That's the thing. There's a comment section. It has probably its own classification because it's a place that houses videos, but it's highly watched by people, especially if they want to learn how to do something or if they want to research something. Especially the younger you are, the more you use YouTube to figure stuff out or think through stuff. Like I'm going to disagree with you say the younger you are, because I think, it's already proven YouTube is the second largest search engine. Right. That's true. That is true. Yeah. Okay. After its parent, Google.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
So,
after it's dad or mom or whatever you want to call them.
yeah.
You know, but you know, so people go to YouTube for a specific solution. They go on, and the question they ask on YouTube is often, my understanding, I may be way off on this, but my understanding is their question is much more specific on YouTube than it is on Google.
Oh,
It's how do you do this?
right. Or reviews. If they're buying a car, they want to see car reviews. Go to YouTube or something else. But yeah, interesting.
So is YouTube a different channel?
It may be.
I think it is a different channel. I don't think it fits really any of these.
Would it be one of our owned, because we can control, we have our own YouTube channel that we can put up.
That's a good
stuff.
point. Yeah,
So
good point.
maybe nested under there.
Yeah, but you can also buy YouTube ads, advertising, that can be totally narrowly aimed at certain people who are searching certain terms, right?
True.
And so YouTube is becoming a very powerful. Yeah, I mean, people are talking about how powerful the videos are and everything, and that's great. I mean, we had a client, unbelievable, a company who manufactures barcode equipment, right? To
like Zebra Technologies or something.
Yeah, like Zebra Technologies. Okay, and they created a video that answered the question. Okay, if you need to protect valuable equipment from being stolen from your inventory, how do you do that? And they created a video for that, right? And this video has hundreds of thousands of views for this small company in Dallas.
Nice.
And but it's also now helped them become bigger than a small company.
Yeah, and I would not write off. I mean, not right now, but sooner rather than later, I guess. It's only a matter of time before something like a TikTok or Reels within Instagram or Facebook it starts being used for business purposes. I did do an interview with a person for a client the other day. I can't remember if I said this on the last podcast, but because I've been telling a bunch of people because I was so dumbfounded that this guy who I was interviewing about lifts, automobile lifts that, in a service station, you take your car to get serviced. And, and this guy is, a world expert on these lifts.
Okay.
He's actually head of, the person that I talked to he's head of the transportation, like the whole fleet of the state of Pennsylvania. For the government fleet, all their vehicles, and like 9 service centers. And I was talking to him about these lifts.
Right.
I said, how do you, totally open-ended, so what kind of media do you consume? Like, if we needed to get a message to someone like you, because you're a buyer of this stuff, and you...
Great question.
What do you, and I threw out a couple examples. I like to leave it open, but I'm like, do you go to people's websites? Do you read? What do you read? What do you watch? He goes, I watch TikTok videos a lot. And I'm like, well, so do I, but they're about, all sorts of weird stuff. And he says, no, not like that. I get into this one section and it's all about like industrial equipment and how to optimize stuff and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh man, that's different. That's unexpected.
Yep. Yeah. And so see, my follow-up question to him would have been, how old are your customers? Because it's sort of like, okay, who
Well, he's the buyer.
Goes to TikTok?
Yeah, he was the buyer, and he was just saying he was 36. He said, I did ask him how old he was.
No, but
And,
I meant his customers. So that like,
well, he's not selling. He's the buyer. He's my
oh,
client's buyer
sorry,
for these
sorry.
lifts.
Yes, of
For these
course, of
lifts. Yeah.
course. Yeah.
So
So you know what? Again, all right, we go right back to the beginning of the conversation. 2 hours ago, that 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 when you look at these 4 or 4.5, because we're not sure where YouTube fits.
yeah,
Um, of P.E.S.O, paid, earned, shared, and owned. Um, the answer is it depends. What works for you? It depends. It requires an analysis of your moose. It requires an analysis of where do they hang out? What are their needs? What's your message? How do you want to deliver that message to them? There is no. Here's something that I've been saying a lot lately, and it's because I'm frustrated with some companies and people and stuff like that. Folks, there is no easy button. This takes analysis. This takes understanding your moose, and understanding where they hang out and understanding what they need. I mean, that's it. That's how I see it.
yeah, and I couldn't agree with you more, Steve. And our guest that is sometimes with us, Michelle Jones, and I have done some work together where we have created, and we've used it for multiple clients, where we just have this laundry list. And you can do this at home, folks, which is just make the longest possible list you can of every tactic that falls under paid, earned, shared, and owned. Everything that you can think of. And go to the internet and go to Google and just Google marketing tactics, and just exhaust every resource to get the longest possible list that you can think of, whether your company does it or not. And then once you've got the list, you can do all sorts of things with the list. You can say, let's see, do we do this now? Yes or no? And you can just put an X. That's a start. Mm-hmm. At least you can sort it. These are the things we do now. These are the things we don't do now. Okay. For the things that we do now, then say, is it working? High, medium, or low? I mean, just, if it's pretty good or it sucks or somewhere in between. And for the stuff we're not doing, should we add it? Should we think about doing this? Some of it's going to be obviously yes, because it's been on your wish list. Some of it's going to be obviously no, because it just doesn't apply, or it's just whatever for your industry. And there's going to be some in between that you're going to have to think about. And then you can think about the current ones and just make sure, keep it, stop it. You could stop doing stuff. People don't realize enough that we can stop doing things that we do now. We have limited bandwidth. We have limited budget. If you want to add something else, that's time and or money. What are you going to give up to do it, to do something new or different or whatever? So then you get your list about everything you want going forward, all the tactics that you should throw at this, assuming you've done your strategy already and you know what you're doing. Then you can say, who's going to do it? Are you going to do it internally? And if so, who? So you've got an assignment. Are you going to hire an external resource? Are you going to get Steve Miller to do it? Because he helped that trade show person. Steve said no. But no. You follow me. It's just a very, very practical way.
We should have you and Michelle come on and just talk about that.
Yeah, we'll do it. We'll do it. And you know what we'll do after that? We will
Go have a drink. Go have a bourbon.
We'll make the master list downloadable.
Oh, I see. Oh, you're
Why
talking
not?
about something. Okay, all right.
Why not?
I thought you meant we get done with something. Yeah, we go.
No.
Have
We
a
make
brown
it,
liquor.
we make the
No, that's a great
give it
idea.
away. We give it away because honestly, it's
Give it away. Give it away. Give it away. Give it away again. Give it away. Give it away. Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Steve has been taking rapping lessons
From Red Hot Chili Peppers. So,
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to do that.
That's okay. Maybe you are Steve Miller, the rock star.
It just happened. So,
It's very possible.
I think that's a great conversation that you and Michelle need to come on, and I will just sit in the corner and go, "Oh, wow."
No, you'll chime in. I guarantee you'll chime in.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
So-
I think you will.
So I think we have
This is
exhausted this topic today.
Yeah, we beat a dead horse to death.
No, it's not a dead horse. I think we actually gave some pretty good stuff here,
We did.
and hopefully people will understand. And the 4.5 categories that we came up with.
Yes.
So otherwise we're gonna have to stick a Y in there for their own category for YouTube.
Yeah. P.E.S.O. P.E.S.O.
P.E.S.O.
I don't know.
Or some other acronym. So all right. So Moose, take us out of here.
I'll do it. Yeah. Oh, you're referring to my
It's a call. It's called a callback.
Oh, jeez.
In humor, in comedy, that's called a callback.
Yes, exactly.
I learned that.
I get it. So it's confusing to our listeners, though, because
I know we're talking about two different Moose now.
Yeah, Moose, my nickname when I was a kid, or Moose
I know.
that is our target market.
You have no idea how I had to hold myself back when you said that your dad called you Moose. I had to hold myself back.
I hear you.
But you go for it, buddy.
Well, this has been a wonderful get together here today, and another great episode of the B2B Marketing and Sales Podcast with Steve Miller, now the rock star, Kelly's dad, marketing gunslinger. Is there anything else? Any other things that you're called?
Captain Adventure.
Captain Adventure. Okay. And it's been me, Dave Loomis, joining Steve.
The voice.
The voice, the Dave Loomis.
Moose,
a.k.a. Moose. And that's it. That's it for us. Yeah, enjoy, people. Enjoy whatever you're doing. Whatever you were doing before you started listening to this podcast. Take
now
that and enjoy.
Now I'm going to go drink brown liquor.
Have a great, great day.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the one and only B2B Marketing and Sales Podcast, the source for B2B marketing and sales insight. If you enjoyed the podcast, please be sure to subscribe and leave these old guys a 5-star rating. Check the show notes for any links and contact information. You can always contact us by going to b2bmarketingsalespodcast.com. Thank you, and keep on marketing, keep on selling.